Hello and welcome to another episode of An Echo of Glory. I'm Johnny Blaine. Joining me today, another two J's, James Robbins, hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. And Jake Robson, hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Looking a bit, no cap, you're looking a bit smart. You came in wearing a lovely coat. Where are you off to?
I've got a date.
With?
Mate. with your good mate, Johnny. The big man.
Go on.
I'll be going to Angie's press conference, or news conference. They don't call it press conference anymore. I don't know why.
This is what we bring you on an episode of Glory. An episode of Glory on an Echo of Glory. And an Echo of Glory. Thank you, producer James. But yeah, we get people like Jake Robson on who are going to Angie's presser. I was going to ask you.
And not only that, I'm going to the game on Sunday as well.
And you're going to the game on Sunday for
TalkSport.
For TalkSport here in the UK. Do you know what you're going to ask Ange? Do we need to think of a question for Ange?
Yes. Please tell me what I should ask him.
Should we put it to our many viewers, listeners? Well, the listeners won't be able to. If they're in the car tomorrow, it'll be too late. But people out there on our comments, we always love people getting involved. Think of a question that Jake could ask Ange. Obviously, sensible.
Keep it clean.
He's not going to ask if it isn't. If there's anything out there, what you really you want to hear, maybe Ange be asked. Let us know in the comments.
Do you think, as an icebreaker, I should ask him? Because in his interview that he did with TNT, the last thing he said was, "It was my girl's concert tonight. I want to see how that went on."
When?
Last night. He missed it.
You want to ask how?
How was it?
Do you get two questions?
More. Should be more. Maybe two. It depends. They change. It depends how many people are there.
If you think you've got another question, yeah.
Old Antonio, it was two and done because he talked too much.
Right.
So, and it was COVID. Yeah, no, they're a bit more generous with Ange.
All right. Okay. Let's just say hello to a few people on the comments. Dystopia Eats Money. The poll we have running today is, are we turning it around? And Dystopia Eats Money says, I can't answer that poll because of nuance. We like to be a pod that provides nuance. Blame producer James. He set up that poll. Nothing to do with me, Jake, or James. Write to us here at Launchport Studios and James will answer that. Peter in Australia, 27 degrees in Sydney. It's good to see some Ange ball with the first team on the field. We can argue whether that was Ange ball.
Peter. I've got a question for you though. Is it not just, are we turning it around as in?
I think the point is
the crap form.
I think one swallow doesn't make a summer. I don't know. One win against RZ doesn't really. You know.
Right. But where's the nuance?
I don't know. I want to talk about. I want to talk about Jay Keaveney, who said this is now my favourite Spurs pod, and well done, Mr. Keaveney.
Thank you, Kevo.
But listen, get involved in the comments.
Come again.
Get involved in the comments. Argue with each other. Agree with each other. Argue with us. Agree with us. But just try and keep it as clean as possible.
Just agree with Johnny, otherwise you get kicked off.
We had a nice little tete-a-tete last night. We'll come to that, Jake. I enjoyed that. Really enjoyed that.
Missed the third goal.
Yeah, I nearly missed the third goal arguing with you on WhatsApp when I was in the ground. Okay, let's do a little bit of club news, starting with season ticket renewals. We knew it was looming with the stuff that's been going on off the pitch and the protests and the Tottenham for Change, that momentum gathering. We all had our fingers crossed. Listen, it was never going to go down, even though it probably should have.
Did people think that?
No one thought that. It would have been nice, wouldn't it? Season tickets were frozen. There's a few little nuances to all of this. A little bit of extra. James, do you want to take us through it?
Yeah, so season tickets haven't gone up and match day tickets haven't gone up again, whereas match day tickets did go up last year. But if you want to transfer your ticket now, you can only do it to someone with a paid membership and not just an account.
Yeah.
Which seems to be, I mean, it's getting a lot of negative press from fans, but they're in a bit of a catch-22 because there's a lot of away fans sitting in the home end at the stadium quite often, especially when we're not in the best form because people aren't going as much, and
more tickets available. Yeah.
And I've sat around for like fans from other countries during the Europa League or other Premier League fans, which I think, you know, it's hard to stomach. So that's the idea. It's a move to stop.
So right now, all you need is a CRN number. So if you were, let's say you knew a Man United fan said, "Oh, James, I really want your ticket." You say to him, "Right, just get yourself a CRN number, which costs nothing, and you can transfer them." Now if they want to go to that game, you have to become a Spurs member. So that fan would have to automatically pay 50 quid
per season.
Yeah, I mean, you could transfer that. You could transfer that ticket to them for nothing. So ultimately, their ticket would still be 50 quid, but that person's got to then, become a Spurs member.
I don't begrudge season ticket fans for this, but season ticket, we were speaking before, the season ticket per match is cheaper than a match day ticket, which makes sense. It should be. You're buying a bulk load of tickets.
Yeah.
But I believe season ticket holders can make money off the exchange by putting it up because it goes up, I believe, for the match day price and not the 1/19th of
correct
of the price. So I remember I was in one of the pubs local and they were really good fun, but it was like a group of 6 Norwegian guys and they're all Spurs season ticket holders. And they were like, yeah, we come to 3 games a year and then we just sell it every week, making loads of money.
Right.
I'm like, oh, fair enough.
Yeah, okay.
Well, they won't be making loads.
Oh, no, but they get a good little bit of money back on their season ticket. So maybe it combats that as well, but I don't like the idea of combating that necessarily. I don't see a problem with it.
Well, I asked the question, and no one seems to know exactly. If you're selling your ticket at 1/19th of the cost of your total season ticket, but the buyer is paying the full price for that seat. So just to give you an example, if I sell next season, my seat is going to be 84 quid. That's what I'm going to get. But I would imagine for the Category A games, my seat is going to be going
100 something.
£103.
Yeah.
So where is that £19 going?
Where do you think?
Well, but that's not very transparent because that hasn't been brought up.
I think we know without.
But what we don't know, I suppose, do we know for sure that the club will be selling my seat at the full price, or will they be selling it at
1/19th? I believe it will be at full price, face value. So, Tom, Dick, or Harry wants to buy your ticket, they will pay full price, as they should. They shouldn't pay.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So it will go to the club. Okay.
They're going to have to, because if they didn't, everyone would buy tickets off the exchange and never go through the sales process because they're like, oh no, I can get it cheaper.
The other thing, just the last thing on this that didn't sit very well with me about this 50 quid paying, as somebody who might want to sell your season ticket, it makes selling it harder. So because I've sold it to various people over the last however long, last minute, do you want to go? Yeah. They give me them.
They have to be members now. Is that what you're saying?
They have to be members. Okay, so somebody who might, only want to go once a year or whatever.
Yeah.
I've got a long list of people that I can resell my ticket to.
They've got to all now.
But now they've all got to pay. And
it's a tough one, isn't it? There's no winning really. It depends what you value more. Like obviously, as an individual, we might be like, oh, I want to sell my ticket as much as possible. But do you also want to see away fans in the stadium?
No.
And any way to limit that? So
I don't sell my ticket to away fans.
As Philip Coleman says, and Joe...
Yeah, well...
You're a saint.
I'm a saint.
In the comments, Philip Coleman and Joe say, look, the money goes back to the club. They're selling a ticket you don't want for the price it would have been if you didn't pre-buy. Anyway, let's move on from that. There were other bits and pieces with concessions, which was really wordy, and I maybe didn't have the stomach for, but I didn't understand it. But let's move on.
Luckily, you're not old enough for it to affect you yet.
A little bit more club news. I've written down here Poch comments. I don't want to go too deep on this, but Poch is very emotional man, and we all love him. And yes, I have... It hasn't really come up much because we don't talk about Poch too much. I thought his race was run. I loved everything he did. But when he went, I was like, fine, time was up. People would disagree with that. There's been times when when we've lost managers, you thought maybe this is a time for Poch to come back. None more so, I think, before Ange took over, there was people pining for him to come back. Again, that's fine. I don't think it would have worked, but he did an interview on TalkSport yesterday with Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent. And they basically
friend
said,
of the show,
Darren Bent, would you come back? Any long answer, yes. But he's not going to leave before the World Cup, is he? Some people say, could he do both? Could he do both? He's spending so much time in London.
No.
Interim if we lost yesterday and Andrew's gone, maybe for the last bit of the season, but no.
Absolutely.
Like he's
zero.
Look, and
he's on good money to do that job, to take them to the World Cup in their own country. He may come back, but it's not happening before August 2026.
Yeah, right, James, even on that. And it's just a nice quick segue into the next point. Interim now, if we lost last night, he's got a World Cup squad. He's got a USA have got internationals coming up, like everyone has. So, he's I get it, but it's not happening. And
he'd trigger the Johnny Cardozo deal. That's what he'd do, just to get him
because he's American.
Bigger club because he's
American. Yeah. All right, and then
just one last on that though. The other thing, I was all up for Poch. I think the uncomfortable truth is he a better manager than when he left?
It's a very good point.
Yeah,
That PSG team, he had Messi and whoever else.
Just saying.
They would
Didn't pull up any trees.
But that team was, you had 3 forwards that don't run. So they
yeah.
were always destined to fail.
Yeah, I mean, Emery didn't
at the
do
top
very
level.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Dodgy club
Yeah. Now
to manage.
they've worked it out now, PSG
Doing
a little
really
bit. Their team is so fun.
Well, they've kicked out all the big stars, really, and now they've become a proper team.
Yeah, and they're really, really fun.
Better managers than him or have not managed to put it off there.
Yeah.
I mean, Ancelotti was the manager there.
Yeah.
I think there are question marks whether he's developed from when he was with us to a more modern style for sure. I think hurt that he went to Chelsea, but he did kind of steer them back onto the right track.
Yeah, I think he left a bit early, to be honest.
I was way
shocked,
too early.
yeah. And I think he set up Maresca probably for success.
Yeah, good point.
Which is promising for if he ever did come back. I do think if he did come back, though, it would probably be painful to start with, as it was when he joined Chelsea. He was a bit rough. So, but yeah, so that's a conversation for down the line.
Another year.
Yeah, at least.
Is it going to be that long?
Well,
Oh, you mean because of Poch?
Yeah.
Because of Poch. Yeah.
If our next manager's failing already.
yeah, exactly. Get him out.
All right, and then little segue into internationals. England squad got released about 2 hours ago, and that has rattled some cages. On a Spurs level, we'll just talk about Spurs briefly first, and then I would like to have a little bit of a chat on that overall, even though I know this is a Spurs pod. Dominic Solanke is the only England player in it. You can look on Twitter, and some people are angry that James Maddison isn't in it.
You can look on Twitter and find angry people.
I know. What is this sorcery?
No.
I don't think Maddison's playing anywhere near well enough to get an England squad. The one for me would be Jed Spence, because I think first of all, I think he's been superb, but with players like Jordan Henderson in it, I'm not sure you're going in on form, although I've not watched much Ajax this season. But Spence can play right back and left back. I think when you've got someone like that who's playing well, should be an automatic selection.
There's 3 right backs in the squad.
Walker.
James and Livramento. And there's one
Livramento's not even playing that well.
left back, which is Lewis Skelly.
No, Dan Burn as well.
Big Dan Burn left
God,
back for England.
If he plays left back for England.
Oh, I suppose. Well, either way, it makes grim reading. I can't believe Jed Spence isn't in that squad.
It reminds me of Mike Bassett, England manager, when he picks Benson and Hedges because they're on the back of the cigarette packet, and his assistant thinks that's who he wanted to pick.
I think I could make a case for Jed Spence being in ahead of everyone apart from maybe Colwell and Gahey, who are even centre back. You can make a case for him. All of those fullbacks, I think you can make a case for him being.
Daniel Pinker says, although playing well, Spence is not an automatic starter for Tottenham yet. No, I think he is now.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that he should or shouldn't be in the England squad.
Reece James is barely playing for Chelsea.
He's not playing at all. I was at Chelsea on the weekend.
Yeah.
I don't think he was injured.
He's been in and out.
I should remember that.
They're managing his minutes.
Managing his minutes.
Injury
but Kwanzaa
is his
hasn't been playing.
is his normal state of being.
Yeah.
Not playing is Reece James' normal.
But there are other players, non-Spurs players. Wharton, the boys at Forest, Anderson, Gibbs-White.
Gibbs-White's the one getting a lot of traction of being left out on social media, and he's guaranteed a step up in the summer. Excellent player. I'd love him, but.
Well, he might stay at Forest.
He might stay at Forest,
Champions League
true.
football, yeah.
He's great. And I see Eze in. I rate Eze in. I see Morgan Rogers in, who's had a really good season. But I wonder if we'll play a back 3?
Yeah, Ollie Spiro on the comments says, is Tuchel not going to play a back 3? Every chance. Every chance.
Who's Ollie Spiro?
I don't know.
Curtis Jones has been like all right this season.
Nah, he's good.
Yeah, but
he's good.
He's been all. He hasn't lit the place up, has he? Has he?
He's been.
Who's that?
Curtis Jones hasn't had a gold star season.
Solid.
He's pretty important for Liverpool. I think he's quite an underrated player.
Has he had a better season than Conor Gallagher?
Yeah, Conor Gallagher, I don't think is an automatic starter for. Atletico.
I thought he was excellent on Wednesday night. Conor Gallagher.
He was pretty good on Wednesday.
He's behind DePaul and Barrios in their pecking order.
He started ahead of DePaul on Wednesday night.
From what I've read, in the big game, early in the season, he played a lot, and then
I think DePaul may have also started, but he certainly started.
In the bigger games. In the big games, he's been starting.
He's not my favourite player, to be fair. Conor Gallagher, I don't rate.
I'd have him over
massively
Jordan Henderson.
But yes, that's the comparison point for sure.
Soul Sniper Gaming. Look, England squad, it's a good thing. More time for Spence, Van der Ven and Maddison at Tottenham way. Fine. Hopefully Romero stays at Tottenham Hotspur way during international break. No chance. Even if he's not selected for Argentina, he's on
going
that
as
plane.
the water boy.
He was in the provisional already.
He's in the provisional.
He'll take it.
That's
All right.
fine.
Yeah.
He'll go get some fitness, hopefully.
Okay.
Get some air miles.
Yeah.
There is anything else? Anything else to report?
Rashford's in the England squad again, which is surprising.
Yeah, he's done okay.
Yeah, I think he's done all right. I think there's been a bit, and he's obviously a good player. When you compare him, he's not in the same kind of conversation, I don't think, as someone like Henderson, who is old.
Isn't he just
hasn't been playing well?
Why?
He
You
may have been
watching
playing,
much
He
Eredivisie?
may have been playing well, but like in that league, it's not like someone you say Gallagher or you say someone else. He's playing
Angel
he's playing-
Gomez.
yeah, exactly. Well, that's not much of a league either, but he's playing in
true.
Holland.
Good player.
Huh? Yeah, good player. Yeah,
Good player. Rashford, I think it's a shame we can't call up Marco Asensio because I think that's the only person he's assisting at the moment. He's got like 4 assists for Marco Asensio.
Yeah, they're doing all right, Villa. That whole Asensio thing feels very Van der Vaart when we signed him. Like, you're just starting to grow and you're picking up these players. Fair play to Villa.
I've never thought much of Asensio as a player, so I've been really surprised at his how good he's been. But anyway,
Listen, Monchi, they got Monchi, haven't they now, Villa?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to get those players. And I think...
He was tasked with building their squad for no money, and he's done really well with having no funds.
It's why I know Paratici's still around, but why in the summer I'd be looking at getting him back in because that you pick up the phone and you're Monchi, you're Paratici, you make moves happen. And look, I don't want to do Langer out of a job. He signed Lucas Bergvall, but
I think Langer and his department are essential, but someone like Paratici who's just
got the contacts,
as you say, got the contacts, going to get on the phone, wheel and deal.
Not a wheel dealer, I'm a football manager.
You missed a word out there.
Yeah, I know. Kids.
Family show.
One thing I remember Jordan Henderson's been up to recently is all I ever see of him is moaning in press conferences about like having arguments with journalists. Like there was one where he was linked to Monaco, and they're asking him for the truth of the deal, and he's like, "I won't tell her the truth. I know what happened.
Oh yeah."
You don't. And he's like, "Tell us then." And he's like, "No."
Yeah.
He's like, "You wanted to leave." He's like, "No, I didn't." It's like, "Well, that's what the manager said."
Well,
like, oh well.
Talking of press conferences, a reminder for those who have joined us that Jake Robson here is off to Ange's presser, and we'd like you to maybe come up with a question for him to ask Ange. A couple of people, Ben Green, I think, said ask him about Mikey Moore, why he's not in the squad. I'm not sure you're going to go there, are you?
I was thinking about this when Gary mentioned it last week. I thought to myself, if I was to go to Ange's press conference in the next couple of weeks, I would ask him about Mikey Moore.
Okay. James, it was, as Jorge Pena says, it was you don't know the detail.
Yeah.
Is what Jordan Henderson said to... It's kind of Ange was talking about that recently in his presser when he said, you guys only have 5% of the information.
Yeah.
Well, tell us.
Yeah.
We're in a world of information here. Give us more. Right, let's move it on to...
Also, another reason it's good to ask about Mikey Moore, because I know why you said you shouldn't, because you're sort of thinking, no, just focus on the sort of topics of the day. But also, it is good to go to a press conference for any club knowing or having heard what the fans are either talking about or want to know, because anybody can go to a press conference and ask a question on the game or last night's game or how he thinks the game on Sunday is going to go, but not necessarily everybody looks at what the fans are looking kind of thinking,
James, go on.
Oh yeah, so I'd love to ask about the lack of youth
Tactics?
players lack of our youth players in the England youth teams.
That's a good question, actually. As Lily White Rose said, you pointed it out that the youth team squads have been cut. The Spurs players have been cut. Yeah. The boys playing Football League, Lancashire, who else was there?
Donnelly's not in.
Donnelly's not in.
Tyrese Halls, who's having a good season in the 18s and 21s, he's not in. Olasesi's out. Luca Gunter, who's been
Ajayi, was he in?
I'm not sure about Ajayi, but he's not. I don't think he's in.
Gunter's had an excellent season.
Yeah, Gunter's playing well. I think he's in non-league. I think Gunter playing on loan, but he's playing every week in goal.
Goalkeepers always go. He was at Barnet.
Goalkeepers always go non-league.
Yeah.
He's been in most of the England under 19s, I think.
And who's the one at Orient?
Donnelly and Josh Keeley. Josh Keeley's Irish.
Yeah.
I think he's a full Irish international, Josh Keeley, or at least he gets called up to the full team. I'm not sure. But really, really strange. Because it feels like we've had a lot of our current youth crop across the England youth teams for a while now, and it's sudden. I think it's only Dane Scarlett and Mikey Moore called up, which Dane's in the elite development squad, as they call it now, and Moore's in the under-19s.
Okay. Joe says, ask him about the reasons Romero thanks the Argentina medical staff rather than something. A lot, I don't expect
you can't, but
a lot of players go off and do their own thing. Right, let's move it on to Thursday night. Wildstone. Thank you, Lord C. Van Dinger. Gunter is at Wildstone. Pilch 58 agrees. I used to work on the National League 15 years, but not anymore. So my National League knowledge is not what it was. So thank you for that.
You went big time. Is that what you're saying?
No, they just changed.
You're going Saudi now.
They just changed to a different network, and I don't do it anymore. It was a great product on TNT. Shame they don't do it anymore. Okay, last night we won a football match that we had to win by 2 clear goals to avoid any wobbles, extra time penalties, and we did it. Hurrah and huzzah. This is how we lined up. Vicario in goal, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Spence, Sarr, Bergvall, Maddison, Odobert, Solanke, Son. Any surprises?
I think the lineup was quite a surprise. I was surprised not to see one of Bentancur or
Bentancur was
Bissouma.
suspended.
Oh, was he suspended? I was surprised not to see maybe Bissouma come in for the 6th role.
Yeah. I think he's lost faith in Bissouma.
I agree. I said during the Bournemouth match, and I say it every time I see Bissouma, I think he starts the game really well, then he does something silly, he loses his head, then gets subbed off, and it happened. So yeah, I think he'll be gone in the summer.
Yeah.
Nice to see Sarr is getting a run of games. He looks like he's got back into a bit of form.
My problem with Sarr,
I think it was a strong lineup. I was quite happy with it.
My problem with I was happy with the lineup. But when it started, it was, and we talked about this on Friday. What day were we on? Monday. Sort of, it seemed not that he ended up playing there much, but Bergvall sort of started in the 6. And Sarr started further up in your 8. Again, I'm not a huge fan of these numbers, but you know what I all mean. Sarr was receiving the ball back to goal at times, or sort of side on, or little 50-50 balls that he wasn't getting to. For me, it should have been the other way around. Bergvall was jumping forward a little bit, superb. Got a standing ovation that he absolutely deserved.
He was everywhere.
Hopefully it's just cramped. But not only the way he played on the ball, he did that lovely bit of skill on the touchline in the second half. We know he's got all of that. Driving forward, brilliant, takes the ball, wants to go forward. But the way he reads the game, second half, and this is why and Sarr can do this too, but Bergvall does it better. They were struggling to get out a couple of times, Alkmaar. And the way he sees what their player's about to do before they even do it. He is telegraphing their passes and intercepting possession. And I just felt he should have started in the 8. All right, look, he didn't. But I thought we had a slow start, maybe not because of that, but we didn't get Bergvall.
But how
Solanke was very isolated.
To see Van der Ven and Romero
Right,
starting.
I wanted to talk about that. Van der Ven and Romero starting obviously makes a massive difference. That's a pretty solid defence. I think
they were really really good. There's nothing more transformative in our squad than getting Romero back to break lines from
you could see that. It was very clear last night.
He wasn't. He looked like he got over those bumps.
I think
Bournemouth.
they both do it.
Van der Ven
might not play
with
the pass,
passes.
but he'll bring the ball himself.
He'll go through the lines
between the
himself.
two of them. It's just a match made in heaven.
It's an obvious upgrade on Dan's.
Yeah, but as a pair, also as a pair, obviously
As a
player for
pair.
player.
Yeah. I don't want to jump to the second half, obviously, yet, but with Van der Ven, I think was more defensively solid yesterday. I think he was really good. There was a couple of moments where he kept getting passes from Vicario and Spence that he was not quite switched on for, but then Van der Ven, but he recovered. But I thought he was defensively really, really good, and it showed when Gray came on that the athleticism and centre-back play was just a big drop-off. Really, really impressed by the centre-back pair. And to be honest, that's a first-choice back line, which we haven't had in so long.
Yeah.
And it was really, really nice. Porro is out of form, I think, a little bit, but even still, it was a really nice back line.
Yeah. Going back to the selection, I don't know if last night was the game for it, but you're thinking Bergvall playing in the sort of 8, obviously Maddison in the 10. I like those two playing together because you just know it's going to be quality, smart, like smarts as well. They're both, as you said, his reading of the game, and obviously Maddison is really clever and cute when it. I just would love, at the risk of sounding like Gary, I would love to see Archie Gray in the 6, because everything you said about Bergvall and his reading from a defensive point of view, I say Gray has that as well. And then you don't miss out on the Bergvall bit going forward if he's playing in the 8, and you've got Gray whose reading of the game's fantastic. His presence is he a 19, 18 as for an 18-year-old?
Yeah.
He could marshal
19,
the middle of that pitch, no doubt about it. His passing is really good.
Yeah.
His reading of the game.
Jake, is that water open or closed? I started to really need some water. That can, is that yours?
It's not mine.
Is it shut or open?
It's open.
Is it? I don't want it then. I didn't know whether, because a couple of times there's closed ones on.
Can I get a water?
Yeah, I did have to ask James.
So
Do you not call for a runner?
We're not that big time yet. Although I didn't mention in club news.
Oh, here he is.
Thank you, James. We've now got to 3,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Incredible.
Just keep the logo.
Product placement.
3,000 subscribers.
Thank you to everyone who watches us. Yeah.
In fact,
Yeah. Oh, got an announcement from our producer.
to mark this historic occasion,
Yeah.
to the people in the chat,
Yeah.
come up with some competition,
Yeah.
pick a winner at the end of today's show,
Yeah.
send them.
Well, I think the competition should be your question, Jake.
Okay.
Right, so whatever
Question Jake asks, obviously there could be one or two of you. I'll go back through the comments. If Jake
Panicking
chooses,
about your journalistic
if Jake,
integrity.
if to mark, yeah, all those years at college,
Don't know
Jake,
about that.
to mark the occasion of 3,000 subscribers,
It's almost certainly going to be one of these.
we're going to give away one of these Echo of Glory tankards, beer glasses. If your question gets read out by Jake Robson to Ange, if a few of you have asked for that question to be asked, I'll pick out a winner from those. We'll do a little raffle. But yeah, that's to mark 3,000.
Show me a journalist that hasn't done the work without showing me a journalist.
I did think about this actually last night. If we would maybe do something like this, and I thought if I wasn't going for such a reputable broadcaster, I would have loved to do that thing where the viewers text in like a word that they want me to drop into the
songs from
a
Queen album.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But not today.
Good
Ask
question.
him if he listens to any podcasts, just to lead you down that path.
He's definitely going to say
Good
that.
question from Soul Sniper Gaming. Ask Ange's plans for Gray between now and quarter final. Biss, Benton, Saab been poor this season. Is Gray going to play in midfield question? All right, let's continue on from last night. Slow start. I thought RZ were very organised.
Mm-hmm.
They came to probably draw 0-0. Of course they did, or nick a goal from a set piece. The first goal comes from Son, who obviously gets a lot of stick recently. I thought Son was okay. He was fine. Closing down, rapidly closing
turnover.
down. High turnover.
Good for Solanke to stay on side. I thought he was off. And then he
have
he
to
held
admit-
it really well.
My head was in my phone at that point, probably moaning about something. And I looked up just as Solanke received it. I initially didn't see the Son press. Absolutely for Solanke to stay on side because he could easily have, unfortunately, just been offside by virtue of the way the ball bounced back off Son. Rolls it across to your mate, Audebert. And
My boy.
this is my thing, my negativity as a Spurs fan. I've seen him not finish well this season.
Yeah.
Instantly
In
flashed
3
in-
games, Johnny.
Yeah, no, I know, but he's had a couple of flashes over the bar, and that header over the bar against RZ in the first leg. Wonderful finish. From where I was sat, I thought again he roofed it. I thought he'd gone high.
I thought
Really-
on the telly he'd
It's
It was actually a really
It's
good
a
finish.
brilliant
Yeah,
finish.
yeah,
The way
yeah,
he
yeah.
swept
But
it.
when it
Weak
left
foot.
his foot, you're thinking, is this going into Rose
really,
Ed?
really good finish.
And I was a bit worried at the start of that first. I was frustrated in that before that goal because it's something we see a lot, and it's like we've opened the plug hole, and it's just in that top left part of the pitch, and it's just Spence, Maddison, and Son rotating in the same positions over and over and over again, doing the same passes. And I was like, can we just go to the other side, please? Someone do something else. Like Audebert is over there, and we saw through the match he completed, I think, 3 or 4 of his dribbles. And coming centrally and dribbling out wide. It's really frustrated. But when we got the goal from the left side, it was a high turnover. I was like, okay, cool. Persistence works. But really good goal, weak foot. I was buzzing.
Yeah,
I've-
you've really liked him.
I've
you've been a
talked
champion
a
of him.
lot about him
I'm
this
very
year.
much. I'll need to see more, but I
I
didn't
need
go.
to see more than a smash into an open goal.
No, that's a great finish.
Yeah, it's a good finish,
But
but
he
like he
played
was
well.
7 yards, he went 10 yards out.
We've seen players miss those.
Yeah, it's not. I'd say it's a bad miss if he misses.
Yeah, fine, but I'm not just talking about the goal. I thought he played well against
Yeah.
Bournemouth.
No, he did.
There was a moment against Bournemouth where he did a lovely little sort of took the ball in a half turn and spun round Kirkage in the second half. And I was like, okay, that was really good. It's really something there. And I was a couple of people, I think I'm going to call out my dad here. I was like, why is Audebert starting? And I was like, sorry, Dad. Even if you didn't say it, even sorry, but I think you did. No, he will watch. He will watch. And it wasn't the only one. A couple of people were like, why isn't Moore starting over Audebert? And I was just like, there's something in Audebert, and the only way he's going to get better is by starting more football matches. And I just think there's definitely something there. And Gary had said, or Ollie had said, that one of the Burnley fans said he might be better central. There's a moment in the first half where he took a ball central and went past 3 or 4 players. I think there's something there. So it's not just
I'm
goal.
I'm kind of taking the piss a bit.
Yeah.
I think that considering he's been so long out, and this was his how many starts has he had?
I think it's like 6th start or
No, but
something
since
this
being back
season.
from injury.
Second?
Right,
second
yeah.
or third, yeah.
Yeah, definitely his first in Europe.
Yes, he played.
Either way, he's been injured for a long time.
Yeah.
His appearances have been
It's
limited.
his third start since he came back. He started against City, started against Bournemouth.
Okay, but what he looked, I'd say in last night, because against City he was a bit it was a tricky game. What he did look last night was, considering he's been a long time out, he's essentially at a new club. He looked very full of confidence, and I guess a player like that
only going to come
age,
by playing.
Yeah, well, yeah, but obviously the work that's gone in off the pitch, I think, whatever's been going on there, he's playing with confidence.
Yeah,
and I don't think he's played enough. He hasn't had enough minutes since coming back to be full of confidence based on how he's played. So obviously, what's going on behind the scenes, he's enjoying life, and it's showing on the pitch.
he's really different from what we have. He's and it's what we need, and we've known we've needed for a long time, and that's why it was
Close
so painful
control ball runner.
Yeah. Keeps the ball, tries to create chances, and can dribble 4 players in a row. And we haven't got that. And I think, especially in football now, you're disruptors. You're not just with passes, but players that can take people on all across the pitch. And I think that starting lineup had it with Maddison, Bergvall, and Audebert. I think and even Van der Ven, Spence, obviously, they can all take someone on. Son had the beating of the fullback, which
they
doesn't
really
happen all
doubled
the
up
time.
on Son, if not trebled up on him at times.
They did, and he had the beating of them, which is not something we can say all the time. But he looked really sharp. But yeah, Audebert, we've missed it, and I think there's some in some of the Spurs groups I'm in. There's some diehard Brennan fans, and I think sometimes the positivity and the negativity on him are far too much, because I think he is a good, useful player.
Johnson,
yeah. And
if Audebert's going to bring in the back post tap-ins and skill, I'll take the both of those.
You can see a
please.
player that does both. Like, you don't have to have someone just stands at the back stick, tap it in, does absolutely nothing else. And Audebert showed that he can. Look, he didn't get an assist, but he was a disruptor. He disrupted the opposition so much. Some of those runs that from the right into the middle of the pitch were unbelievable. Really, really happy. And I was singing a chant that some people I think must have made up there, living on a prayer, waltzing Audebert, which was very fun.
Jake, someone's called you out. Are you actually a Spurs fan? So there's one for you to chew on.
Where?
Soul Sniper Gaming.
What's he saying?
So, Jake, are you a fan? Oh, are you a fan or not? Of Audebert, I assume.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I just think that last night he played really well. No, I'm saying the goal that he scored isn't worth getting completely over the top about. I think he had a good game. Yeah, and it was nice for him to score. But he should have scored. He should have put that away, and he did.
Yeah, but for me, it's the fact that the exact point of the whole Brennan chat. Like, look, he's got 15 goals for us doing that, and then it's like, I thought, well, can Audebert do that? There's the other, not naming names, but other contributors of this podcast have said to me, Audebert was never going to be a starter. We can't say that. Blah blah blah. I was like, well, as soon as he signed, he started 3 days later, and he was involved straight away. And as soon as he's been able to come back from injury and just gone straight in. Could
you name names?
I think it was Jake and Ollie. Maybe I think I convinced Ollie.
I don't think you did.
Other Jake, but not.
I was going to say,
Jake wasn't having it.
Gary's called me out.
Adam Harris is missing Gary's moaning.
No, well, he is moaning in the comments at me because I would sing Johnson's praises for a tapping at the back post. Yeah, but Johnson's done 15 of them.
Still great skill.
But also not when he did it once, but he kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it. Yeah. That's the only difference. Yeah. Audebert may well come and do that. Good luck to him, and I hope he does. But
you appreciate that if Audebert does that and it does the Aaron Lennon
of course,
stuff.
Of course I do, 100%. But also all this time, Audebert was injured.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's
no
serious injury. To the fact that he's come back in and been so. A little, I don't want to say transformative because we haven't been completely transformed, but looks like a bright, different option and playing really well.
He looks like a new signing. But the other thing is about Audebert. I know what Gary said about the Burnley person that he was speaking to. he has played the most of his career on the left.
Yeah, and centrally.
And I wonder, no, but as in, but more on the left.
Yeah.
But so I wonder why that would be, and I wonder if long term, where I don't see him playing centrally for us long term. Not when you've got Kulusevski and Maddison.
Yeah,
he's
agreed.
third choice at best.
Yeah.
So this is probably throwing it ahead. But where start next season? Do we see him even starting? Do we see him playing from the right?
I think he's definitely
Depends who we
pushing.
sign.
Depends who we sign.
I don't think we will sign a right wing. I think he's definitely pushing Johnson for that right wing spot.
I think he's pushing Son. Like he has started.
No,
he
Son will
started
still
left
play
wing.
on the left.
Yeah, he will, but he has started left wing. This is the first time we've seen
But,
a
he's
manager.
not started left wing. That's his position, as far as I'm.
Well, I think if he can do
concerned.
both, I don't really care. But
yeah.
it's the first time in a long time Son has been rotated out, and I think Odegaard was trusted straight away. It wasn't the Bournemouth game before maybe. But Odegaard did start on the left, and that just is a sign of Son's ageing, and also just I think look we moan about Ange a lot, but that is a sign of good management, like having the bravery to pull some of your talismans out and not start them and play a young player. I mean, let's be honest, Son's not been doing it. The City game. It was. Yeah. It was a City game.
You did start against City. Stratton Carlberg, I hope you're not saying that we're moaning. It's not been much moaning today. It's just discussion on where we think we might go.
If you want.
Right, no, a couple of stats on Odegaard. Wilson Odegaard at 20 years, 105 days, became the youngest player to score a brace. I have jumped ahead here. Spoiler alert, Odegaard scores twice. To score a brace in a major European game since Chris McGrath in November 93 versus Aberdeen in the UEFA Cup. Second mention for my dad, might be able to claw respect back in my family here. I had to ask my dad who Chris McGrath was. I'd never heard of him. And I checked, he started both games of the 1974 UEFA Cup final against Feyenoord. I thought I knew, was quite encyclopedic on old Spurs players. I'd never heard of Chris McGrath. He says he was a promising young winger who faded, went to Man United, a couple of appearances for Northern Ireland, but his career didn't quite take off. And then Wilson Odegaard became the 12th different player to score for Tottenham in the Europa League this season, excluding own goals, with only Roma 13 having more scorers in the competition. Roma are now out, so we could another scorer. We could join Roma on that number.
I like how you said spoiler alert. Like there could be people listening to this or watching this who don't know what happened in the game.
Could you imagine you get your result from a podcast?
If you don't want to see the scores, look away now.
And you just wait for the podcast.
Goodness me. If that's you,
the modern way.
Let us know. Yeah, exactly.
There's never been a more modern way to take in your football by waiting for a podcast for the result. All right, I did jump ahead a little. Little touch on the second goal. We've talked about Maddison not getting in that England squad. I don't think he's at it as much. He played well yesterday. Really nice goal just after half time. Great finish. Son,
really good finish.
They were just drawn to Son.
Yeah.
Like a moth around a flame, and that freed up Maddison. Not as far into the corner as I thought, looking at it originally in the stadium. Whatever, great finish.
I thought the run by Sarr across the goalie didn't get enough of a.
Yeah.
Like if I'm the team that's conceded that goal, I'm not very happy about that because he's not off because he's not interfering with play, but like literally just before he kicks it, he's run across the goal. Do you know?
I didn't
Sarr?
notice it.
Oh well, Brooks 80s literally just said, was it just me who was worried the goal maybe disallowed Sarr in front of the goal? I didn't actually notice that.
I didn't notice
He
that.
And I've not
ran
seen
right
it on the
across
replay.
him,
Okay.
and by the time the shot comes,
Electrocuted myself.
oh lovely.
Where do I sue?
James?
Can I sue you?
Stop scraping your foot on the floor like an angry bull. By the time the shot had been taken by Maddison, Sarr was gone. But a second before, he's in front of the goalie. And
I didn't
although
notice that.
he wouldn't have been interfering with play at the time of the, you can't imagine the goalie. Yeah, but they didn't seem to appeal for it.
Maddison used one of their centre backs,
Yeah.
defenders, as a bit of a shield,
yeah.
and the goalkeeper couldn't see it until a bit later. That's probably why he didn't have to put it straight in the corner. He took it quite quickly, so maybe that's why. Maybe it's like, your own defender was more of a problem than the Spurs player. Also, that I thought the referee was quite good yesterday, but I think the contrast between a Premier League and European referee sometimes is quite different. I mean, one in general style and two in quality, if I'm honest.
Sorry, Sippo's reminded me, and I was actually just about to do that. Another stat on the first goal.
So Sippo feeds you stats.
No, it's fun. I've just seen it here, and I should have done it.
You did put it in the WhatsApp.
It's the first stat on my list, and I've jumped ahead. Tottenham became the first side in major European competition history to have five or more players under the age of 21 score a goal in the same season. If we had more time, I'd ask you to name them, but Jake's got to go to a presser. Lancashire, Moore, Ajayi, Scarlett and Odobert. Okay, 2-0. Then comes the moment me and Jake end up having an argument on WhatsApp. It kind of made me miss the third goal. Van de Ven comes off after an hour. Managing minutes.
It was so pre-planned because it was on 60
I've
on
got
the
to tell
dot.
you, I was livid. I was livid because... No, at that time I was a bit annoyed. Then they score 5 minutes later, a goal down the left-hand side, which I don't even think it was 5 minutes later. In fact,
it was 3.
It was like
within 3 minutes.
It was Gray's first. It was Archie's first involvement in the game.
This is not a criticism of Archie Gray at all. I don't think they scored. I know that we sort of won the ball back before they scored, but that was Bergval's silly pass and Odobert.
Blind pass.
Blind pass. And Odobert, who done well to track back and win it back, not his fault. Bounces off and great finish by Coop Miners. Fine. Yeah, before that, I think if Van der Ven was still on the pitch, they don't score that goal because I feel Van der Ven would have swallowed up the space from whoever it was, Parrott, whoever it was who ran into that channel that Van der Ven had come out of because he was sat on the bench. My point was, Jake, that Van der Ven got injured in October. Jake's ready for the argument. He got injured in October against City, reappeared against Chelsea, didn't see him again till January where he reappeared against Wolfsburg. We didn't see him again until last week. He comes off the bench against Bournemouth and he starts in our biggest game of the season, after Villa, biggest game of the season, after Liverpool's semi-final, biggest game of the season, which he didn't play in because the hamstrings were still in tatters. Our third biggest game of the season, he comes off after an hour, a tie we're only one goal ahead in, and we concede straight away in a channel he should be playing. My point is, we are managing this guy's minutes still in the middle of March because he's been so broken by the system, and this is probably going to cause arguments, broken by a system where he's having to run so much, they're trying to change the way he's running. When you look at the start of the season, at the end of the season, the players that play most minutes, it is always Tarkowski, Gabriel, Saliba. Going back in history, it's always central defenders.
Or the Verald.
John Terry, Carvalho.
Right. It's always, other than goalkeepers, centre halves play the most minutes every season. Our two centre halves have barely played any minutes, and we're still managing minutes in the biggest game of our season, and they concede. I was livid.
But what's your point?
My point is we're still having to manage this guy.
Yeah, but that's because that's because he was injured.
Right, because he's been it's disgusting the way it's happening.
But what do you want to happen?
They deal with it better. It's a historical.
Stay on.
No, we shouldn't be in this situation.
But we are. So
I'm angry at the situation.
You're not angry at the sub. You're angry at the fact that we
having
need
to make
to
the
do
sub.
It because
but it's just where we are. It's just where we're at.
Because it's been managed so badly.
But how else would you have liked it to be managed?
It's been managed. He's either fit or he isn't. Right. So he comes back.
No, that's actually not. He's not either fit or he isn't.
It is because he comes back against Chelsea. We don't see him again till 8th of December to the 30th of January. Plays on the 30th of January. We don't see him till the 9th of March. It's been my point. My anger is over the whole thing, not just the sub yesterday. It's been managed so badly.
How could it have been managed better?
Well, I'm not a medic, but clearly it could have been.
Well, in which case, I
doesn't
don't think
happen.
you're in a position to be annoyed about it. Because,
why? Our best
because
players played.
Yeah, but you either know the specifics of his injury. You can't. Do you know what I mean? Though you can't just come up with something that tells me why.
Okay, that's not my job. My job as a fan is to be annoyed.
So
this bloke has played twice. Since December because they've managed so badly.
But we all of us need to look at it, look beyond that, and ask why it's happening.
So we know there's problems with our system and intensity, and that causes injuries.
Why is he being managed in this way back? We don't know.
And then
it's obviously to do with the injury,
and because it's been previously managed so badly.
But we don't know. But we don't know the situation as to why he had to. Why we haven't seen him since January. Yeah, but Ange said they didn't know.
No, but Ange said that the way he's like body conditioning and the way he maybe runs as well, and he is prone to hamstring injuries. He did have a hamstring injury at Wolfsburg. they need to look at his career, and maybe he needs to adjust some of the way he trains and the way maybe his running gait, because that can be a cause of hamstring injuries. There's a lot to it. Yes, then there is the issue of our training methods and our in-play methods. He's required to make a lot of recovery sprints over long distances, which is going to strain him if he's already injury prone. And then we need to sort that out. It's a shame that we're in the situation with the injuries and that we have to manage his minutes. If Danzo doesn't get his first injury in a long time, which is regardless of our system, it is very common for new players to go to a new team and get injured because they're changing how they train completely. So, just for a bit of balance there, if it wasn't Van der Ven for Archie Gray, who I think has been great, and he's clearly an incredible talent.
By the way, I may have brought on Ben Davies at that point.
I probably would have brought on Ben Davies as well. I think Van der Ven was doing such a good job defensively, and Archie just doesn't have that athleticism as a centre-back and he jumps way up the pitch.
Yes.
And then there's another chance that you put in the WhatsApp of a screenshot of a chance they had where only Romero was back. That was because Archie had gone to the halfway line, and Spence was already high, pushed all the way, and he failed to make that, to get the ball basically to win that duel. And that happened twice for the goal and their other biggest chance. Archie's been great. That drop-off is absolutely massive. And there's been people saying that they think Archie could be a centre-back long-term forever. I disagree. I don't think he's got the athleticism for it unless he bulks up. Yeah.
I'm not sure he wants to be either.
But otherwise, I think Danzo would have came on. And if Danzo comes on, you're like, okay, he probably maybe makes a couple fouls instead of winning the ball like Van der Ven did, but he probably doesn't just let players goes past him.
Also, in that moment, there is a cock-up between three players.
Yeah, of course.
A three-way cock-up.
Yeah.
Well,
but there's chaos,
you can
right?
be annoyed
at
him going off, but at the end of the day, like, you've got three players. If one player cocks up, it's bad enough. You've had three players all screwing up at the same time that has led to that goal happening.
I get that. That's what I said.
A guy's coming back from injury and his minutes are being managed,
which has to be done.
It has to be done. And also,
Jake, please.
Darren Anderson spent most of his career injured. Ledley King, but we just remember them as
Jake,
who's to blame for
Padani
that?
says in our comments, how do you manage it better if not managing minutes yesterday? I understand why we're doing it. It's the fact we're still doing it.
But also,
in a round of 16 second
There
leg.
are some I don't know enough about injuries, but I do know that you can't literally see into everyone's body like right there. It's not necessarily binary with injuries. It can be. There can be issues. There can be things that what's the word I'm looking for? Irregularity. Like not everybody's the same. He obviously came back and had that 45 minutes in the last game?
Elfsborg,
and he hasn't been seen since.
Yep.
He didn't sprint like that. He was really good that game, but he did not sprint. He didn't. There was a chance they had breaking forward in that game where he did not make the recovery run. And I thought he had a great controlled game, and it was a good game to bring him back. But he said that.
I'm moving it on. I'm moving it on.
happens.
Soul Sniper Gaming says I'm on a loser here. Rubbish. I'm sorry. I'm going to stand by this. I think it's been managed so badly.
I think it has been
so
managed
badly
so
for him
badly.
to still be coming off.
I don't think you know that.
Well, I can see it.
No, but you don't know how. You don't know if it's being managed well or not because you don't know the intricacies.
I'm
and
just
going to
say it one more. I'm going to say it one more time. To play on the 8th of December, the 30th of Jan, and the 9th of March and the 13th of March. That's managed badly.
Yeah, but it's like you're saying but why has he not played since January?
They should have managed it better.
But
I would rather he played on the 8th of December and I didn't see him to the 13th of March. I would rather have that.
Not Elfsborg.
Than constantly trying to find solutions that they couldn't find.
Sorry, but maybe
I'm moving it on.
Maybe they thought.
Obviously, I'm wrong. Well, I'll take the loss here, but
maybe they thought he would. Maybe they thought, and he thought he was fit, and then he has injury setbacks happen all the time.
Yeah, stop making him sprint every single game. Anyway,
it's a shame that
let's move on to something positive, James. Let's move on to something positive. An amazing third goal.
An amazing.
Lovely
Ange
goal.
ball was back for that 5 minutes. James Maddison took
beautiful.
that ball, which we were seeing him doing. I could keep going back to that first 10 games when we were in full flow.
It was a good time.
It was good, but even in those games where we were coming back into games, Villa, West Ham, whatever, Brentford, the way he took that ball and he knew that there was space behind him where he could shift his body and we were away. I think he then played it into Spence, who was in the perfect Ange ball position, into, I think, Son back to Spence into the box. Solanke, whether he's going for goal, I don't know.
I think it was a shot.
Yeah, probably.
But doesn't matter.
He's probably trying to turn it in. And Odebe's there with the Brennan Johnson tap in. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant goal. I've watched it so many times. I'm trying not to respond to this bloke telling me that Premier League players sprint.
Well, one guy said, get Johnny to the presser.
I know that Premier League players sprint. You cannot deny.
Johnny can't go to the presser because he'll get fired.
Dennis Zen Earl, you cannot deny that we make our players centre half sprint a lot.
Watch
You know what you said about that goal being Ange ball? I actually thought the first 2 goals, and I thought all 3 goals were Ange ball
So the first goal,
in their
the
own
press,
way. The second
goal,
press, just not as high up.
Yeah.
We won the ball on the halfway line.
we did.
Within 7 seconds, the ball's in the back of the net.
Yeah.
I thought all 3 goals last night were take me back. Not just those first 10 games, even this season. When you said Villa, did you mean this season or the Villa away last
this season?
But
Second
Villa at
half.
home as well.
Yeah.
I mean, even City away, some of the goals this season, winning the ball high up the pitch. Last season, we were doing that all the time.
The second goal was the one that even though the third goal was the one I want to watch over and over again, the second goal was probably the one I was
Because it
happiest
had a bit of
with.
everything in it.
Yeah, it had a bit of everything, and I've been a big critic on how we only score in 2 ways, which is a counter or a high turnover. And when we're against a settled defence, we don't
Struggle to
really
break
create.
it.
We really struggle. And the second goal was us breaking down a settled defence and like 2 banks of 4.
Well, it came from a turnover, though, on the halfway line.
Yes, it did. But like they were still back in shape. There were so many players in the box. It was so congested, but we created a goal. So I was really happy with that. But yeah, the third goal was stunning. What I love about football, good passing play, moving the team around, quick passing, player movement. And there's something we do, which I'm starting to think might be deliberate. In the fullback zone, we will get seemingly stuck. And
On or off the ball, sorry.
on the ball, trying to play out.
Oh, defensively.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we want to play out, and we
Correct.
get stuck, and
Correct.
I get nervous as hell. And I'm a play out from the back purist. That's short pass out from the back is what I prefer in football.
You're progressive.
Yeah. But sometimes I do think you have to go long, and I hate when we get stuck in the fullback zone because I think we give up opportunities sometimes.
Yeah.
However, if you look at it, we probably don't concede that many goals from it, and then you see what can happen when we do it. You get stuck, you draw players in, and then it only takes getting the ball to a Maddison, a Bergvall, a player that can dribble through the pitch. Maddison turns his man and we're gone. And Maddison did that a few times in the game. We got free from a high press from the opposition, released it to Maddison, and he drives and then passed it to the faster players.
The famous Chelsea disallowed goal was very similar to that.
This is where
it's a false
though,
transition,
because
isn't it?
How
This is
many
called.
times does Spence find himself in what looks like an impossible position in that left channel?
Gets out.
And he wriggles his way
Yeah.
out
Yeah,
and
he's so
keeps
good.
hold of the ball. I mean, even Porro at his best last season, that's not his game. And that's where any player that can beat a man, that's why when he was really good, Grealish was so like highly thought after, because anyone that beats a man then automatically brings in other players and takes the player that he's beaten out of the game.
Okay, we've got to go in 5 minutes because you've got to go to this presser. There's been some good questions. Just putting it out
Solanke's
there.
been mentioned.
Yeah, I will come to that one.
Okay.
Yep. Just before, last chance to get your question in for Jake Robson going to Ange's presser. If Jake reads out your question, you have a chance to win one of these Echo of Glory 10 cards.
When you say a chance,
Probably pick
they
out
will
the best.
win it.
Pick
No,
out
but
the-
you've got a chance.
Probably
Two
pick
people
up-
might ask the same question.
pick out the best question anyway, maybe just in case,
Pick
No.
out the best question. Oh, I will have to scroll through them, but I will.
No, I mean if it's not said at the presser, because
Oh, right.
ultimately this is
if
your
Jake
job.
chooses to ignore all of you, despite us saying you'll get
No,
involved.
absolutely not. I won't ignore all of them. No chance. Somebody will ask as an appropriate enough question for me to be able to ask. I have no doubt.
All right, so 3-1. We are through. We will play Eintracht in the quarterfinal. We played a few years ago in the.
I went actually to Frankfurt.
a 0-0 draw?
0-0 draw, yeah.
Was that group stage?
Yes. I
Yeah,
think
we
so.
beat them 3-2 at home. Kane scored and missed a penalty. Very France 2022 World Cup. I remember when he scored the first penalty against France and he got the second one, I, being a loser that I am, said, don't do a Frankfurt, don't do a Frankfurt, don't do a Frankfurt. and he did a Frankfurt, which in that game he put a second penalty over the bar, which he did against France in the World Cup quarter-final.
For a bit of Echo Glory travel advice,
Yeah.
Our sideshow, which
Don't
we
go to
really started. If you're looking for somewhere to stay,
Yeah.
there's a small city town near Frankfurt called Darmstadt. And that's where I stayed when I went. It's 20 minutes or so on the train to Frankfurt, and it is just a lovely town. Really, really nice. And they have a football team that our old youth academy player, Keenan Bennett's played for a bit.
Okay. Very quickly, positives from yesterday.
What season was Frankfurt? Was that the year after they won the Europa?
22-23.
Yeah.
So I looked it up last night. Since the start of 22-23, I think only 6 teams have stopped Eintracht scoring at home, and we're one of them. They've scored in every home game this season.
Their atmosphere is nuts.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely nuts.
Positives from last night for me, obviously getting through. We had to. Who knows what would have happened if we hadn't have got through? But we don't need to talk about that because it didn't happen. Positives for me were Spence, Bergvall and Solanke, who just works tirelessly. And I sometimes start feeling sorry for him that we're creating all these chances and he's not on the end of them. I think he did mean to shoot for that flick for the third goal. But he works tirelessly. And I think we've started to go a little bit longer now because he's in the team.
Yeah. He fell to the floor at the end.
Exhausted.
He was knackered.
But he provides, when you're looking to get out of the defence as well, or when you're sort of just in your own penalty area, he can come short and receive the ball. And he can come short and either flick it on, round the corner to someone, or he holds it up and brings. I mean, he basically, as far as on the ball goes, he has everything you want.
Yeah. He's so complete.
Yeah,
he's so complete. He's a pure footballer.
Yeah.
He can, for a striker, it's the things you take for granted and you don't expect. And I think we were linked with, when Kane, the few years he was rumoured to leave, with like Tammy Abraham, and I was like, wow, the finishing drop off will be horrible for Spurs fans. And the drop off to Solanke has, this is obviously going to be there. He is not Harry Kane, but he is Kane light.
Yeah.
And he's got a bit more pace than Harry Kane. He drops deep. He can play players through.
Yeah.
Brilliant, he did a little shoulder
player.
drop towards the end, and he beat that guy in in the right channel. And I thought, whoa, haven't seen much of that.
He's a quality forward. Really happy we went for him over the likes of Tony and other options.
For sure.
Other options. I think he's brilliant.
Jake, I'm just going to Waze the Tottenham Hotspur training facility for you, so
to keep me on,
to make sure that you're not late. Because
it's fine. I'll be fine. But the other thing I wanted to say about him, and I think it made the difference of him, or it made the contrast of when he wasn't playing so stark. You now see it, if you didn't already tell. That's why it was such a poison chalice to stick the poor guy playing in the Solanke role, because
can't do it.
He's not a striker.
Yeah.
And
that's no criticism of him.
It's no criticism of him.
It's not his game.
Put even someone like Odegaard, we sung his praises. Stick him in that role. It's not his game. He's got very big strengths, but receiving the ball sort of on the half turn, it's just not his game. So
bullying a centre half.
Yeah. And Solanke has just been doing that his whole, and also what he gives you pressing. I mean, you saw it with the first goal.
Before we play Frankfurt, we've got a couple of games. We've got West London twice, I think, before we play Frankfurt. But
I hope Bergvall's not injured for our next game.
I think it was crap. He looked absolutely fine.
Good.
Maybe that's your question, Jake. How's Lucas Bergvall?
So tell us, Ange said in a press conference or an interview last week that the plan was for Tell to come in and play wide, not to play up front.
Absolutely.
It was needs
of course.
If Richarlison was fit, Richarlison would have been starting those games.
Yeah.
All right, quick look at Fulham. Jake, it's going to take you 27 minutes to get to Enfield from here. So we'll wrap it up very shortly.
Cool.
Fulham, a place where we were so bad last season. We lost 3-0 on the back of having... It was after
Villa.
Beat Villa.
Yeah.
We beat
No,
Villa.
it was Villa, then Fulham.
Yeah. And we asked last week about where people maybe started to lose their minds on Ange, and a few people said the Fulham defeat. Yeah, we just beat Palace 3-1, lost at Fulham. Beat Palace, beat Villa, and we got beat 3-0 at Fulham, a place we've had a bit of a sticky record. I remember we lost there in the Cup years ago, lost 4-0, and we were 3-0 down after 28 minutes, the earliest I've ever left a football stadium. Listen, the league season is now...
Well, this is the thing. So what are we hoping for Sunday?
Obviously, we all hope we want to win. I suspect he will make changes. It's not like we've got a game on Thursday, but they're all going to drift off to their internationals. I don't know. Will he rest players? Will he rotate? Will we see Van der Ven and Romero again? I suspect Udogie will come in. Benson and Bissouma might play. I would hope Solanke plays again. We might see Johnson start.
Solanke definitely starts.
Yeah.
I think
Davies may
Bentancur
play.
definitely starts.
I think Bentancur definitely starts. I think Odobert, off the back of his 2 goals,
Should
definitely
start.
starts
He's young.
because he's going to be flying
Yeah.
high. Yeah,
Yeah.
he might not, but he won't last the game.
Yeah.
I think Romero starts because if he's fit enough to.
I wonder if he does.
I think Van der Ven maybe, or do you think he took him off on 60 to start him?
I think we see.
I think one
if-
of them starts.
I think Romero starts again. Although he did play 90.
So I think it
could the
might
other
be
way.
Archie and Van der Ven.
Yeah, maybe.
Which wouldn't be my preference.
And then
That's
Romero
just what
comes
I
on
predict,
for Van der
maybe.
Ven and Archie goes back to centre half.
Yeah,
Dancer would
or
have started if he was
Ben
around.
Davis.
Or Ben Davies. And listen, it's great that there are options. Really, like we've gone on and on and on about the injuries. We now have options.
I don't think he doesn't start. I don't think he leaves Van der Ven on the bench to bring him on because last night he took him off. It's a bit different. Are you going to bring him on after 60
We
minutes?
did against Bournemouth.
Yeah, but that was his first. A
lot of people saying Romero and Davies get Gray in midfield. Love to see Gray in midfield. I do think
I'd love to see Gray.
on Archie Gray in midfield is that patience now when he does play.
Yeah, of course.
Because he took a little bit to get up to speed at centre back.
He's not a centre back.
And he's not a centre, but he also hasn't played fantastically at fullback for us this season. I actually think he's actually been poor at fullback.
He's not a fullback.
He's not a fullback, but he has played most of his senior minutes there.
Yeah,
but he is
but
clearly
like,
not athletically gifted for those positions in the Premier League. I just think when he does eventually get the chance in midfield, I think he'll be amazing, but he'll need some time. I think just to
and now's
adjust.
the time to do it in league games that really, obviously, we don't want to lose any of them. But if he's going to do it, and we said
I
on
think
this pod a few
Bissouma
times.
starts while we're on the subject. Do you not?
Yeah, we've said this is a time now to start experimenting with your midfield because if Gray's going to become a midfielder, he can get a run of 5, 6, 7 games in midfield now before the season ends.
Maybe I'll ask him that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not giving you one of these. Did someone? Yeah, there were some questions. People did ask about.
But I will
Gray.
get to ask more than one. But in any case, I think that would be something.
Well,
reasonable,
you're
wouldn't
going
it?
to tell us what you asked, and if anyone did ask that,
I don't need
on
to tell
here-
you. You can watch it.
No, I have to watch you. I have to sit with you for an hour and a half. I've got to watch you again.
The midfield makeup, I think, is quite key because I don't think Maddison's going to start. Or do we not have a game next Thursday?
No, we haven't
Maybe
got a
he
game for
does.
ages.
No,
Maybe
we don't have a
no.
game
It's
for
intentional.
ages.
So yeah, maybe Maddison does start because of that. But we've rotated Maddison a lot, and I think we don't have another player like. I think the key thing in the summer
without
is to
Kulusevski,
get another 10 player without Kulusevski fit. And Kulusevski's not quite the same as Maddison. He breaks up teams in a different way. Bergvall is an 8 and a 6. I don't see him as a 10. Maybe we have to sign a backup 10 or Donnelly gets promoted next season because I do think we lack a second option when Maddison's out. And the drop-off is quite huge. And if the match last night, after all the subs have been made, we brought on some technical players, don't get me wrong. I think Bissouma's good in possession generally and stuff. He can avoid pressure. But the technical drop-off was huge to bring on Brennan and Bissouma when Bergvall went off. I think Maddison
and Bergvall went off.
Maddison went
Madison and Odobert went off.
so
Together.
yeah, Odobert, Maddison, and Bergvall all went off, and immediately we could not keep possession of the ball at all.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
you had Brennan, Bissouma, and I can't remember who else.
Yeah.
Oh, Davis and Gray went into midfield. We really, really struggled for possession, and we were probably for 20 minutes really under the cosh at the end of the game. I was quite nervous. I'm like, okay, we really do like to hurt
I'm nervous
ourselves.
he's going to miss his presser.
Can you remember last thing that foul that Gray did right at the end, where the guy, I can't remember who it was, one of their players running away from him, and he just pushed him over, and you're thinking, that's a smart foul.
Yeah, I literally
Just
said before
bring
it,
the guy
I said,
down.
foul him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Foul
that was a
him.
smart foul. I will say that was my one negative on Solanke last night. He had options to play it, and he held, and gave the ball away. And then my thought was foul him.
Yeah.
And we did. And those are the kind of things, experience.
But Archie Gray, he's not experienced, and yet he knows that is the time when you do
foul
it.
him.
Just foul him.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Predictions. Quickly, everyone jump in on your predictions for Sunday's game at Fulham. No Fulham guest. We don't need to talk to a Fulham fan. Jake Robson, you'll be there for Talk Sport.
I will.
What will you be reporting on? What's the score going to be?
Jorge, yeah, 2-1. Is that 2-1 Spurs? Jorge,
Yeah,
woo. I think it's going to be 2-2.
Okay. James
and
Robbins.
we will be behind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fulham always drop points when they're ahead.
Heart over head, 2-1. My head thinks
Yeah.
2-1 we lose.
Okay. Yeah, right. we can do
I
that
don't
now.
think we win.
Soul Sniper Gaming, who seems to think he's won this, Mark already, because you're going to ask about Archie Gray, will be the judge of that. Soul Sniper, he thinks we're going to lose. Joe says 1-1. Daniel Pincus says 2-0. Fulham. Sydney says 2-2. I am going to go with a 1-1 draw. Fulham are a bit like you, James. I think we could lose. Fulham are a bit of an odd team. Have a good result one week and then a bad result the next.
They've dropped a lot of points in winning positions this season. I'll tell you that much.
Not as many as us, because isn't it only Southampton have dropped more than us this season?
Have we? Well, maybe. Fulham must be third.
Oh, you're going to make me look this up now. So
Yeah,
if you're
come
late
on.
for the presser, this is your fault.
Look at well, it's good to know, isn't it?
You're going to ask Ange that. Maybe I'll win the tank.
Fulham have only lost.
Maybe you'll win the
Fulham
Townsend.
have only lost 2 games in a row, twice this season.
Right, well, time to
Oh
make
no, once this season.
Okay, time to make it twice.
Yeah, but they've dropped a lot. I'm telling you. 'cause
Oh, I
I've
owe
done
you
a-
an apology, Jake.
I've done a
This
few.
is rare. I'm going to apologise to you. Southampton 23 points dropped. Ipswich and Fulham 22.
Yeah.
Tottenham 21. So there's a stat for you on Sunday.
Yeah,
Fulham-
so every Fulham game I've done this season, I'm pretty sure they've dropped points from winning positions.
One.
And have to ask Marco Silva that exact
one
question.
for the Marco Silva fans. Okay, we're leaving it there.
Get him in.
Final word to Padani82, who says 3-1 to Spurs. We will take that.
Come on, Padani.
We will be back on Monday to review that and talk about other stuff. We haven't got a game to look at, but I don't know. We'll find something to talk about.
Well, we'll be talking about Sunday.
We'll talk about Sunday, yeah. All right, gentlemen, we're through. Up the Spurs, really. That's it. James, press the button because I'm not allowed.